yourself and tell me morning.
Yes, morning neighbor.
Morning neighbor, morning. Morning neighbor, morning. Morning, I don't want you conniving morning. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. That's all the money that me walk for. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. This is all the money that me walk for.
I said morning neighbor.
Morning neighbor, morning. Morning neighbor, morning. Morning, I don't want you conniving morning.
Oh, Joseph.
Good morning. Morning, neighbor, morning. Welcome to another program of BUXTONIAN Morning Time at 4 minutes past the 7 o'clock hour on the 2nd of February in the year 2022. It's Wednesday, is it? Yes, it's Wednesday. All day today gonna be Wednesday. All day today will be the 2nd of February. But all day today will not remain the same. Expect some surprises from some place or other. And it's full of surprises, isn't it? I hope you had an enjoyable night's rest. I hope you rested well. You're refreshed. You're rejuvenated. You are excited about facing the new day. You have some people when new day reach, all they want to do is bury their heads deep into their pillows and not face the fact that it's a new day that has dawned. Because there are so many challenges which lie ahead of them. A lot of people don't like to face the challenges. They don't like to face their fears. They don't like to face their demons. But it is necessary for you to face your challenges and face your fears and face your demons if you are going to progress. Right? You see, progress doesn't come by just sitting and moping and stuff like that. Progress comes by doing. As a matter of fact, for you to progress, you have to act. So progress is action-oriented. So regardless of what you do, regardless of what you're faced with, move. Keep that in mind. Move. You must be moving, regardless of what you're confronted with. Good? They say if the mountain can't come to you, go to the mountain. Or if your boat doesn't come in to port, swim to your boat. Because at the end of the day, if you want to progress, you have to keep moving. And many people associate movement with only the physical. But no, my brothers and sisters, movement is not only physical. Mental. You got to be able to work your mental. You have to be able to plot a plan, plot a path. And in most instances, having plotted that path, you must have what it takes to stick to it. The gumption, the gall, the determination to stick to that plan. Right? So movement in my mind starts up here. Starts with the mental. What do you see yourself as capable of? What examples of movement have you seen? Where are you taking your encouragement from? It's all a psychological thing. Right? You got to start in the mind. And I'm saying that a whole lot of Guyanese are faced with the challenge of stagnation of movement. It would seem as though a lot of us have just thrown our hands up in the air and decided, look, it is better to roll over and accept what is coming at me than it is to stand and confront it. Right? Stand and confront it. And what are the reasons being offered for a lot of people just rolling over and accepting what is coming at them? For the most part, you hear, I am fearful. I'm fearful for my job. I'm fearful for my relatives. I'm fearful for my children. I am fearful I will lose this opportunity or that opportunity. I am fearful of making bad friends, and so on. So a lot of us in this society are currently living in fear. In fear of what? In fear of what? I'd rather lose my job than work under less than fair conditions. I'd rather lose my job. I'd rather be an enemy of the state than allow the state to trample on my rights. I'd rather see my children and relatives at home, around me, us sitting together and strategizing to beat the system of oppression than have them work under oppressive conditions. I'd rather that. But you know what will gladden my heart? What would make me exuberant? If all the citizens who are living in fear were to cast their fears aside, get together as citizens of this dear country of ours and challenge the status quo, challenge the politicians, challenge the political elites to do better. That would make my heart glad. And that is what we ought to do as citizens. Because the reality is, when we roll over in fear, and when we act out of fear, that is where these devils want us. They see us at our weakest, and they kick us while we're down. And they keep kicking us while we're down to prevent us getting up. But as we usually argue, there is strength in unity. There is strength in the numbers. And so until Guyanese get together in unity of cause, at least, right? In unity of cause, we are going to remain down-pressed, oppressed, trampled upon, and in fear. And in fear. Stop believing that playing nicely is going to change the situation. Right? Stop playing nicely. Stop believing that if you play nicely, the situation will change. Nothing will change unless you demand it. Power concedes nothing without a struggle. Right? So everybody seems to believe that, hey, wait it out. Those who fight and run away live to fight another day. Wait it out. The storm will be over at some point in time. Wait it out. The storm will be over at some point in time. But while you are waiting for the storm to be over, right? While you are waiting for the storm to be over, the people are constantly eroding your rights as citizens of this country. They're constantly eroding your opportunities for upward mobility. They're ensuring they put you in a place of dependence so that regardless of what, they will always be in control. And this is not a situation that affects only blacks in the country. It affects majority blacks, but it affects the entire society of the have-nots. The entire population of the have-nots. And if you were to pay attention to who has in this society, you will come to recognize that it is a very small percentage, perhaps about 10%, of the 750,000 persons who control the majority of the wealth in the country. So we're talking about 90% approximately of people who are exposed to the oppression of the state, exposed to the oppression of those who have, exposed to the oppression of poor policies or discriminatory policies of the state. They send the trolls in the mornings to say to Mr. Amsterdam, you're racist, you're divisive, you are imbalanced. But what they don't send the trolls to tell you is that their policies have divided this nation into the haves and the have-not, and is setting a path of domination by the haves in this society, whether they're bona fide Guyanese or foreign nationals. They fail to tell you that. As I said, just on cue, Vijay Pasada, whatever his name is, one Guyana, they ain't got no one Guyana. They got a Guyana that has been divided. Let's talk about those divisions. Let's talk about government policies and how they foster division and how they oppress. How they oppress the ordinary citizens of this country. I've said several times before, those who have and are continuing to get more because of government policy are comfortable with government policy as they are because they have a positive effect on them or a positive impact on them, at least now. Those who do not have, while uncomfortable by government policies, are unwilling to shake the boat because they are dependent, or they believe that they have to be dependent on those who have, the enablers of government and their discriminatory policies. And so when government has a trickle-down economy policy, they're giving to the rich and powerful with the hope that it will trickle down. As a matter of fact, the crumbs will come down to those who do not have. Those who are empowered by the government are oppressing those who are dependent on them so that the government can continue to be oppressive. It's a cycle. Unless we break that cycle, we're not getting anywhere quickly. Well, how do you break the cycle? First, you have to recognize what's happening. And that is why I take pride coming here every morning. And I'm sure the other producers and presenters and hosts and so on take pride coming to explain things as they are. From Thursday last up to yesterday, and certainly continuing today, I've been talking about the budget and how the provisions of the budget affect you. Right? How they affect you. But before I deal with that, I see, I think it's White, Mr. White, Vibert White, who said he has asked me a while ago why the amount of the old, in old age pension, or is it NIS, is not reflected on the voucher. I don't know if that has changed, but I know when my mother was an NIS pensioner and old age pensioner, the amount used to be printed on the vouchers. I don't know if that has changed. And so I can't say why it has changed. Even if I know that it has changed, I can't say why it has changed. It is to the government, the Ministry of Social Services, to say why they are now opting not to print the amount on the vouchers. I think it's a very valid question because there are many folks, even if they know, who will go to the post office to collect their pensions, and by virtue of their age, they can't really remember what amount they're entitled to. And so printing the amount on the voucher would be a very good thing. So the pensioners can be reminded because it is right in front there. And so if they're to make argument about how much they receive, it is right in front there to confirm that this is the amount that they're supposed to get. So I don't know, folks, why they aren't printing the amounts on the vouchers. I don't know. I simply do not know. What I think I understand in this instance is that after the budget, it is likely that the increase, the $3,000 increase or whatever that amount is likely to be added to the new month's pension. So maybe when you're receiving pension this month, you can look forward to your $3,000 and your $2,000 addition on your pension. Right? Usually that is given as an additional voucher, right? As a supplementary voucher or something. I really don't know what the situation is with that anymore. Good? But let's talk about budgetary allocations and how they affect you. I listened to the leader of the PNCR, chairman of APNU, Aubrey Norton last night, at least some of it, on Politics 101. And he was talking about what he believes is a scam. Along the East Bank corridor there, right? In that road development is taking place in that area. Road is to pass through Mocha and so on. And residents in that area are now being approached by folks with letters purporting to come from the Ministry of Finance, offering them large sums of money to relocate in 3 months' time. Once they accept the offer, they have to relocate in 3 months. They will be given alternative lands and so on. Right? Note, according to Mr. Norton, Aubrey Norton, residents in the Mocha area are being offered monies as much as $22 million to relocate to other areas where land will be provided for them. And they will be facilitated, let's say, to get these lands and construct their new homes and so on. Having accepted these offers, in some instances as much as $22 million. Because road development is taking place in that area. I made a point earlier in the week and late last week that where your money is spent and what it is spent for must be of interest to you, and it is of importance because it will contribute to your growth or stagnation. And many persons will ask, because Norton's advice to the people is not to take it. Many persons will ask, why I mustn't take it? I got this old house here since 1940. And my dream was to get a bigger house, a more modern house. And here it is, money is being provided to me. Imagine they're willing to pay me $22 million for this old house. And they give him a land, we're going to build a new house. Why I mustn't take it? Right? A lot of people are going to ask that question, why I must not take it? In fact, some will make the argument, right? Some will make the argument that I hear a lot of people make in this country. The APNU and PNC doing nothing for we. Now they're telling we don't take the money. Look how let they go to hell. Right? It is because of moments like these I enjoy doing what I do. Because the onus is on leaders, activists, representatives of the people to teach them. Good? Some of them might have already fallen in the trap. But let me start addressing this particular issue. It ties into the continued discussion about the budget and where your resources are spent. I've argued for quite a while that the attitude of the PPP, emboldened by the international players, will relegate black people, will relegate the oppressed, the poor, the downtrodden, those who they consider to be at the lowest bottom, at the bottom of the social ladder, to the fringes of this society. We will simply become fringe elements of this society. The policies of this current administration, if allowed to continue, emboldened and encouraged and executed by their friends and cronies who control the wealth of this country currently, will remove the black faces from the capital of this country, will remove the black faces from playing a central role or being visible in mainstream of this society. Black people and those who do not have, and those who the government consider to be at the bottom of the social ladder, will be relegated to the fringes of this society. Case in point, the offers that have been made to the residents of Moko. Development is taking place along the East Bank corridor. A whole host of the lands along the East Bank corridor has been sold, gifted, or in some way or other taken control of by the rich and powerful in the society. The majority. There might be spots here and spots there that remain free. But in the long run, wherever those spots exist, we should have a fair idea of who they will be gifted to. And so development is now taking place, infrastructural development is now taking place along that corridor. You're going to see more private development taking place also. Because all of these people who have been given these lands and were laying low all the time will now come out of the woodwork and start to develop those lands. You want to see lots more gated communities. And so the communities which existed there before, and where poor people have a foothold, will now be faced with challenges like these. In some societies, entire communities have been burnt out in the quest of the rich and powerful to take possession of lands. I'm sure you can attest to instances where big business people occupy land and they want to expand their business, and so suddenly you get a big fire around them. And because it's poor people who lost their property and they can't rebuild and so on, they get an offer that they can't refuse. And the big businessman or woman suddenly owns the entire block because everybody's forced to sell. And in most instances, those fires didn't happen by chance. They were planned. And so you have those established communities along these banks. Why we want to say historical communities. You have the Moko and the Agricole and so on. Those communities are there. They're predominantly black people. But the lands in front of them were allocated to rich Indian and other people in the society. And so when development is taking place now, they have to come up with plans how to get them to move from here so we can spread our wings. And because there are poor people there, their properties, old looking and dilapidated in some instances and so on, will affect the value of our properties. So the best thing is to get them out. How can we get them out? And so you have this indecent proposal, these indecent proposals being made. We will get land for you. We will get land for you. Accept this $22 million as settlement for relocation. And we will ensure you get land to move in 3 months. People understand that there can be no real benefit to you by accepting those offers. Let me explain them to you. I'm not a property valuator, but I'm a good student. I was joking with a friend the other day, and I said to that friend, people do work for me in the area of construction and so on must have at the back of their heads not to let Mr. Amsterdam see what they do more than 2 or 3 times. Because it's likely that the 4th time he needs to do it, he is likely to try to do it by himself. Right? They say we don't like to read. As a people, we don't like to read. But reading has its value. And discussions such as these have their values. And so because I've had reason to go to the property valuator on more than one occasions, I have come to understand some of the things which determine the value of property. And so the closer you are to a main road, the higher your value. The closer your property is to a main road, the higher the value. It doesn't depreciate, it appreciates. So when roads are built in your neighborhood, your properties appreciate in value. They go up in value. And that is why I made a point the other day about where roads are being upgraded and where roads are being renovated and where roads are left untouched in their poor state. Because in those communities where roads are being upgraded, property values will rise. Property values will rise. And so when you see the government capital spending focuses on roads, in Micah, Newtonsville, Prospect, Martyrsville, Mont Repose, right? Mocha. Hear this? Mocha. Right? Y'all remember me saying that the only black community in this list of roads that will be fixed and renovated and upgraded and so on is Mocha. And I said it was shown there as a token community to let it not look biased. Well, here is a big reason. Right? Here it is coming to light that despite the tokenism, as I call it, the hoarders of money and the haves are now rushing in that area to tell the people 22 million for you to move. Because when roads are developed, property value appreciates. So that old house which the residents of Mocha are now saying is 40 years old and is not valued the $22 million. Right? What you have to look at is not the whole house, is the land. Because the land value goes up. As old people used to say, we don't have feed land, we only have maintain and ensure it's well drained and so on. You don't feed land. But the value continues to rise. Because as less and less land become available, less and less land remain free, the demand for land goes up, and with higher demand, higher prices. And with road development, higher prices. Good? These are things we have to teach each other. So where roads are developed, property value will rise. That's one factor which impacts property value. The closer you are to a school, the higher the value of your property. The closer you are to a school, the higher the value of your property. And I dare say public schools, because, I mean, there are lots of private schools now, but as far as I know, the criteria really looks at public schools, government schools. How close is Mocha, for example, to a government school? I know Houston Secondary is not far away, because Houston is not really far from Mocha. Right? Are you within a 10-mile radius? That affects the value of your property. So wherever schools are being built, again, check in the budget and you will see where schools are being built. And that is adding value to the properties in those communities. So you all think you understand what I'm talking about when I say the budget is really, you need to examine the budget carefully because it will tell you a lot of things and you will recognize how discriminatory it is. And it will give you an idea of the thinking of those who are wielding political power. So the closer you are to school, the higher the value. Roads, school, markets. The closer you are to the market or a market, the higher your value, the value of your property. Healthcare institution, right? Post offices, banks. Those are all factors which affect the value of your property. The closer you are to them, the higher your value. Y'all take a trip along these bank corridors and see where Mocha stands in relation to all of those things which I mentioned. Check the budget and see the communities where a lot of that kind of infrastructure is being placed. And you will understand. You will understand what this government is about. Yes, when I did say healthcare facility, hospitals, etc. Right? Let me say this. When I spoke about the East Coast Road expansion project previously, I said the original intent of the PPP was to stop it at Annandale. Partisan, those who were in government, in the Ministry of Public Infrastructure and so on, can attest to that. Why would any government expand a public thoroughfare from the capital city? Well, this one started at around Sherry Street and stop at Annandale. Annandale is the last in a string of East Indian communities coming from Georgetown. And if you were to examine, take a bus from the East Coast Park. If you were to examine the development, private development, growth and development of businesses, establishment of businesses along the East Coast corridor, from Sherry Street up to Annandale, you will understand the value of the expansion of that road in those areas. Suddenly, small houses have become big houses, high rises, and businesses are present. Because they are right on the front line of a major thoroughfare. So why do you suggest the intent of the PPP was to stop it just at Annandale? Because villages like Buxton and Friendship and Vigilance and Melanie and Bachelor's Adventure, you know the whole string there? Bachelor's Adventure and Paradise, Haslington, Golden Grove. It's a whole string of black communities, really and truly, after Annandale, at least on the front line. You will have a village like Strasbourg, which is Indian, in between a whole string of black villages. Then you will have and more in between a whole string of black villages, and it will continue like that all the way perhaps to Michael. So understand why their intent was to stop the road at Annandale, because to continue the road from Annandale eastward was to bring development to black communities. Was to cause the property value of those black communities to increase. And that is not the intent of the PPP. That's not the intent of the PPP. So even in their budgetary policies, in their infrastructural policies, in their capital works policies, there is discrimination and racism. So y'all don't come and tell me about race. We see it every day from the government, and the evidence is there to prove it. Okay? The evidence is there. Now, what happens when these things are developed in a community and the value of properties increase? Property owners get a better chance at succeeding, elevating themselves. I know, I have friends who are now benefiting from a better economic situation because roads were developed in their areas. And they were able to establish businesses, or they were able to even rent their properties out to people who had money to establish businesses. So you have the property, but you don't have what it takes to establish business. Because you're not well-to-do, you're at the bottom of the social ladder. Thank God you inherit that property from your great-great-grandparents. And you're smart enough to hold on to it. So if a structural development has come to your area, your property value rises. Some Chinese man or otherwise comes to you and say, rent me your property. Rent me the downstairs, I want to put a business. And so you now get a chance to earn income. If you use wisely, you will use to modernize and maintain your property and eventually invest and all of that. Good? So in a lot of communities where people are allowed to their property and development is taking place, many people are able to rent their bottom houses or even rent a plot of land for big money and they're getting by. So when the PPP discriminates in its allocation of resources for infrastructural development, understand it is policy which affect black communities and black people. And the haves not. Understand that. And for as long as I recognize that, I'll call it. And so I'm saying to brothers and sisters, I'm saying to citizens, when they come and they make these indecent offer to you, because that's what they are, indecent. $22 million to a poor man looks like a whole lot. But that same $22 million will not even be able to construct a home of similar size in the community where you will be sent, where you will be reallocated. That $22 million might very well not even be able to construct him or her a new home because of the cost of living. Even if it were able to construct a new home, and he or she was able to get a little remaining, the value lost from that property alongside the main thoroughfare is way more than he or she would be able to keep from that $22 million. Way more. And so we have to be patient. We have to hang on for dear life. We may not live to see the benefit, but our next generations may very well see the benefits. My friends usually tell me, Mr. Amsterdam, you're a man of faith. I have a friend who came here the other day for a recommendation. And he was saying to the person that he came with, Every time I come to Mr. Amsterdam's place, something is different. Something is different. This man really faithful and got patience, man. You know how much years he trying with this place? But the road is so bad, nobody really comes. Y'all hear what I'm saying? But I understand what I'm dealing with. I usually tell them, don't worry. A time will come when Sideline Dam has to be paved. And that might be the day when I enjoy the benefits. Even if I don't, the next generation may. Because what I'm doing is preparing for when that opportunity comes for me to benefit. So when the opportunity comes for me to benefit, I would be in a far advanced state of readiness. And that's the attitude we have to adapt. Don't sit and mope. The little that you can do, do. But hold on for dear life. Do not give up. Do not give up. And don't roll over and accept. Whatever you do, move. Keep moving. Mentally and physically. Keep planning. Keep adjusting. So that you are always ahead of the game. Right? That's it. That's a mentality we have to adapt. And that's what we have to teach our people. Because what? $22 million is a drop in the ocean for them banners. $22 million is what they would lick Blackboard with in a night. So there's the entertainment allowance a night that they have for you for your lifelong achievement. Some of you might say I'm talking crap, but I know what I'm saying. Many of these halves, the big shots as we call them, will sit in casinos and gamble $22 million in a night. Sometimes $22 million in one bet. And so when you tell yourself you cannot, they're smiling all the way to the bank. Because in quick time they will flip your property that they gave you $22 million for $122 million. Trust me. Hold on. Hold on, my people. Hold on. Joy cometh in the morning. I don't care how long the night is. Y'all hold on. But as we continue to examine how budgetary allocations are made, let us always keep in mind that the government is about hedging money. The government is about themselves and their cronies. And the few Indians along the way who can catch it, it's okay for them to catch it. And most of them catch it through corruption. And that is why the government pays scant regard to corruption. Right? That is why they pay scant regard to corruption. Because they got a trickle-down mentality, remember that? And so listen, we're looking after the boys at the top. We're looking after ourselves at the top. And so, when the permanent secretary engages in some corruption, pressuring the contractor or whoever he or she has to deal with, extracting their pound of flesh, we will turn a blind eye to it unless it becomes really nasty and public. Because they will feel that we have their best interests at heart, but they can only get what they're looking for through corruption. And so we allow them to thrive in their corrupt practices. But when they get caught, they got to face the brunt. Leonard Greenwood, that street needed immediate attention from quite a while ago. You trust this government to give it immediate attention? You're one of the faithfuls. Right? You're one of the faithful. Good. Case in point, where they allow corruption to thrive, so that a smaller man can continue to believe that they have his or her best interests at heart and work to enable them. Now remember the COVID grant distribution? There was a particular individual who was leading one of those teams, who was having a field day, that individual and the assistant, in corrupt transactions. By the time the distribution was finished, one of those individuals had 2 SUVs. 2. I understand the other one? Throw down the whole house and throwing up a mansion. They will feel that they have achieved under this government, as corrupt as the government is, or as wicked and divisive as the government is. They will say that they have achieved because they are known supporters of the government. But can they really look at themselves in the mirror and say, we achieved this through hard work, through honesty? Or do they have to wonder when this will be found out and what will be the consequences? Well, let me tell you, and I'm showing you again where this cabal encourages corruption. Always remember, at the end of the year, once you have a good Auditor General, the Auditor General Department has to audit public spending. And if the Auditor General is serious about accountability, frauds and misuse of state funds will be revealed. And when they're revealed, people are supposed to go to jail. But in this instance, the audits reveal the corruption in the distribution of the COVID grant. And fingers were pointed at least one of these individuals. But instead of that individual being made to face the law, an arrangement has been made for them to refund the money. You won't hear that in the news, will you? You won't see that person going to court, because this is a quote-unquote role model in the Indian community. This is a staunch supporter of the PPP. So to put that staunch supporter before the court for corruption, misappropriation, etc., would bring the wrath, or possibly bring the wrath of the community out on the PPP. Oh, if the man been so good to them, he do all them things that he encourage so much fraudulent vote and so on, and now they put them before the court, I will not support them. They may not want to say that, or they may not want to take that risk. And so the arrangement is, pay back the money, we will keep it on the down low. Right? Look at the doctor which was dismissed from Georgetown Public Hospital, being investigated for arson and also sexual harassment. As a matter of fact, my sources told me that it is alleged rape. Not just sexual harassment. There's a big name for cover everything. Alleged rape. Understand these folks. pay back the money, and we're going to keep it on the down low. Or like somebody saying, maybe they run the risk of him spilling the beans. To name all the others who are involved in the corrupt practices. And the higher-ups who were collecting their cut from the corruption. That is what has been happening in this society. That is what continues to happen under the PPP. But these are the things when you point them out, they say you're racist. They say you're racist. But it took Rickford Burke to reveal the identity of that doctor. Right? An alleged rapist receiving protection from the state. An alleged arsonist receiving protection from the state. And that's only one instance. If you go wrong this society, and by the way, I remember sharing with you months ago, last year, a matter where I think it was the secretary, I don't want to misstate, but it is an officer of one of the commissions, Public Service Commission or one of the commissions, was harassing a young lady in Mahaika or somewhere along that corridor there. I will have to go through my documents to find that file again. I have not heard the conclusion of that matter. As a matter of fact, I've never heard it ventilated publicly. The last I know, he was referred for investigation or whatever. But we have never heard of these things publicly. We don't know what the outcomes are. Their names and faces are not emblazoned on newspapers. Again, because the media is controlled for the greater part by a majority, let me say, non-black ownership. Starbuck News is the Dicaries, I think. We call them Portuguese, you call them whatever you want. Then there is a state media controlled by the government, who is majority Indian. Then there is Kaito News, which is controlled by Glenlal, who is Indian. Who say no sound? Gus Isaacs, check your device by your gun. Right? Then you have the Guyana Times, which is the PPP and Indian. Radio and television stations, predominantly the same. Rondo reminds us that, I think, was it the REO? Or an office of the state again, in Latin that shot that girl? They don't even wait to charge the black man before they start plastering picture all over the place. But when you identify these things, they say you're racist. This is not racism. This is identifying double standards and most, quite frankly, discrimination in the society. Discrimination in the society. And we have to be conscious of these things. For as long as I can put my fingers on the information, KAMSTV will bring it to you. You will get all the information. And I ain't curry favoring, I ain't glossing over anything. I like give it to you raw. Good? These are the things we have to be aware of. How does government policy affect us as a people, as a society? as a society, graft, lawlessness, corruption, for as long as it is encouraged and enabled by the government, citizens can't get their just rewards. Because for as long as state resources are siphoned off by a small group through corruption, it means there's less to go to the citizens. As long as development takes place in a lopsided manner, infrastructural and other development take place in a lopsided manner, only one set of people will progress while the others will be relegated to the fringe of society. So the way in which your resources are allocated through budget is extremely important. And so we have to pay attention to that. We have to continue to discuss that, so that you can recognize the disparities. And I'm saying that the only way to confront this issue of divisiveness in our society, of discriminatory and lopsided allocation of resources, is to confront the government. The answer is not sitting back in fear. The answer is not sitting back in fear and saying, I fear for my job. What's the point? I mean, people must be asking themselves if Kidaki is real. But what's the point of me being abused psychologically on a job that is paying me minimum wage, which cannot even adequately take care of my needs? I might as well put everything at risk for better. Put everything at risk for better. And if everybody takes that attitude, then I'm sure better got to come. Better will come, better must come. Because in all of its bravado, this government doesn't want to see the state's apparatus ground to a halt. That is where the power of the people lie. In grinding the government's apparatus to a halt. But all of them talking about they're frightened this and they're frightened that. Frightened what? I holding on to a job that makes me practically a beggar. Because when we're talking about all this expansion and growth in the society, and my income remains the same, and my landlord says to me, your rent as of this month will be $70,000 a month. You can pay it or leave. That's a reality with which you have to be confronted. You think it's far-fetched? Property values are going up in this society because of where infrastructural works are being done, number one. Number two, it's an oil economy. More and more people are coming to the country to look for opportunities. More and more people are looking for places to live. More and more people are looking to acquire properties. And so property values are going up. I would be stupid as a landlord. And I'm being real. I would be stupid as a landlord to know that I can get, because of the demand, $100,000 for the property which I am renting somebody who currently pays $50,000, and not give them notice to pay an increased rent or move out. I'd be mad, I'd be stupid. I would be making no economic sense. Right? And so all those of you who are sitting in people's properties rented, and tell yourself, well, hey, I ain't gonna protest this government for better wages and salaries because I might lose my job. You might lose your home. Right? You might lose your home, or what you consider your home. Because at some point in time, the landlord, the owner of that property, will recognize that it is appreciated in value and demand a higher rent. Now, if you're working for minimum wage, you're working $70,000 a month, and currently paying $40,000, because I don't know if you can find a place to rent for less than $40,000 in this society. Currently paying $40,000. When the landlord comes and he says, well, hey, it's 60 now. How are you surviving? How are you surviving? Will your job make a difference at minimum wage or at the low level at which you pay? No. Guyanese have to recognize how these things are intertwined. Don't tell yourself you're comfortable or you're safe. Even now, there are lots of people who are working with the government, but once they pay their rent, they have to be scrounging to survive for the rest of the month. They're either doing extra duties, moonlighting, working taxi, whatever, selling something in an oil economy, in a country that is producing oil. And people are comfortable saying that, hey, I am fearful of challenging the status quo because I might lose my job. What's the point? I'm going to leave on this note. And this is not poking fun at anybody, but this is admiration. Let me make it clear, this is admiration. I'm not going to call anybody's name, but I read an article the other day, let's call it a testimonial, from someone who graduated from the University of Guyana recently. I know the individual. We worked together. I'm almost sure they were earning more money than I was. But reading the article said to me that this person, prior to working with the government, was self-employed. Person was self-employed. Left self-employment, is working with the government, or was working with the government. Government changed, that person got dismissed. Is now a graduate of the University of Guyana. Right? During this, after dismissal, I understand the individual worked taxi. Is now a graduate. I am sure, I want to assume, it is likely that that individual will now use the university certification, etc., to try to get employed with somebody. And the value that they will attract is likely to be less than they make as a self-employed person, as a taxi driver, as a whatever. What I'm trying to say in short is, while many of us with our skill and our knowledge and our experience are sitting behind government desks and saying, look, we value this, we want to protect this, we are not going to challenge the government. Using that same skill and knowledge and experience for self-employment will bring us much, much more than we sitting back and accepting in these government offices. But many of us are not willing to take the leap. Many of us are not willing to take the leap. We have to believe in ourselves. We have to band ourselves together and discuss opportunities. Many of us who are sitting in government offices as accounts clerk, in this society as it expands, can make so much money simply being tax consultants. Or even if you don't want to call yourself tax consultant, simply preparing income tax returns to some of these businesses. Some of us who are sitting at customs, for example, simply have to start a customs brokerage and we make much, much more money without being corrupt than we are earning in these government offices. But we sit back and we say, I am afraid to challenge the status quo because I might lose my job. Right? You can't remain stagnant. You have to move. Progress is action. For you to get progress, you have to be action-oriented, whether mentally or physically. Don't let them hold you back. Don't let fear cause you to be stagnated. It's now 60 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour. I want to show you a snippet where is it? Of Amansa Walton Desir in Parliament. Why am I showing you it? Because she was telling us what our monies can do.
Minimize, if we could prevent, let me say 50%, of this wastage by doing a proper adjustment and coming to this house with a more realistic figure. Mr. Speaker, if we are to take $36 billion, which represents, sir, a 6.5% of this budget, 6.5%. Mr. Speaker, this is what we can do with this 36 billion. We can give the 50,000 public servants a pay raise of 10% right now. We can provide tuition, free tuition. If we could minimize, if we could prevent, Mr. Speaker, we could of this wastage by doing a proper adjustment and coming to this house with a more realistic figure. Mr. Speaker, if we are to take $36 billion, which represents, sir, a 6.5% of this budget, 6.5%. Mr. Speaker, this is what we can do with this 36 billion. We can give the 50,000 public servants a pay raise of 10% right now. We can provide tuition, free tuition for 11,000 university students right now. Mr. Speaker, we could give the 9,000 plus health workers an average of a $250,000 bonus right now. Mr. Speaker, we can raise the income tax threshold to 100%. To $100,000 rather, right now. Mr. Speaker, we can increase the old age pension to $35,000 a month for the 65,000 senior citizens right now. Mr. Speaker, we can allocate a $3.5 billion allocation on technical and vocational educational training. Mr. Speaker, we could provide $2 million in business grants to 2,000 qualified small businesses right now, Mr. Speaker. And guess what we could do, Mr. Speaker? We could spend $1.3 billion to upscale those 5,000 plus sugar workers, to train them for a future beyond sugar, instead of keeping them tied and tethered to an industry that you yourself came to this house and said is failing. That is what we could do, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, all of this could be done right now, and CapEx would still stand at 75%. If we could minimize, if we could
Morning, neighbor, morning. Mr. Speaker, if you could only take your head out of where the sun doesn't shine will come to realize that there's so many possibilities. So many possibilities to take this land to a better place.
Never know. Oh, money, never
Money, neighbor, money. Money, neighbor, money. Money, I know what you conniving. Money, neighbor, money. Money, neighbor, money. Money, you can keep your conniving money. When you've been up for a boom, and I've been tell me money. Now because your money done, you come with conniving money. When you had your pocket full, and I've been tell me money. Now because your money done, you hustle for tell me money.
Yes, money, never.
Money, neighbor, money. Money, neighbor, money. Money, now know what you conniving money. Neighbor, joker. Neighbor, joker. Neighbor, joker. This all the money that me walk for. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. This all the money that me walk for.
I said money, never.
Money, neighbor, money. Money, neighbor, money. Money, now know what you conniving money.
Oh, Joseph.
I want to serve my country. Diana, beautiful, happy and free. Diana, let's cooperate with our government to help develop Diana the free. Together, my comrades, we will build a brand new Diana, a country where all are equal opportunity. So let us begin now to show loyalty to Guyana by showing love and respect for all that it needs.
My brothers, my sisters, we will live and die together. On to one people, one nation, one destiny. For harmonious living, cooperation will be forever. In work and play as we live as proud Guyanese.
Guyana, I want to serve my country. Guyana, beautiful, happy and free. Guyana, let's cooperate with our government to help develop Guyana the free.
Well, it's time we still all the rich lands in the interior. Our natural resources are there in great quantity. And we will do farming and establish those by the border. We'll grow our food so we would feel all Guyanese.
My greatest desire is to serve my country, Guyana, and sincerely help my Guyana to move along. Our government asks us that we study hard and we learn the things that will help Guyana to become strong. Guyana, I want to serve my country. Guyana, beautiful, happy and free. Guyana, let's cooperate with our government to help develop Guyana the free. To help develop Guyana the free.
To help develop Guyana the free, to help develop Guyana, a Guyana that is free. A Guyana that is free from graft and corruption. That's my dream. That's my aim. That's my drive. Morning, are you morning? Welcome to another program of BUXTONIAN Morning Time. I want y'all understand this is not no live that thing and no content. Well, I know, listen, some people could waste your social media space Some people could waste your time. You know how aggravating it is to sit and listen to people for 20 and 30 minutes, and at the end of the day, you're none the wiser. Why you always waste time with these people? Why these people believe that they could come and waste your time like that? Morning, morning. Welcome to another program. It is Thursday, the 3rd day of February in the year 2022. It's the morning after, also the morning after Nicolette Henry, having served, note I said having served, took the high ground and said, well, hey, I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to walk the plank. I'm going to resign from Parliament. I'm going to make way for Aubrey Norton to become a parliamentarian. And I guess eventually the leader of the opposition. Good morning, Nicolette Henry. I don't think I've ever addressed you in that way to say good morning. I don't even know if you and I have crossed paths more than 2 times, if we have ever been in the same space. But good morning to you, former Minister of Education, Dr. the Honorable Nicolette Henry. She is doctor, y'all don't forget that. Right? She is doctor. She has worked on the international scene in the area of health care. So she is a doctor. And then she pursued her necessary course of studies while she was minister, if I remember clearly, to achieve her doctorate. So she ain't no fly-by-night doctor. She didn't go to the University of Iflux to get her first degree and then to pursue a doctorate. Okay, she went through the natural course of things, and so she is doctor. Congratulations on your choice, I must say. I respect due to the lady. I'm sure she's moving on to greener pastures because she's equipped to move on to greener pastures. As a matter of fact, my understanding is that she was doing quite well when she was invited to join the government in 2015. So, if you set a foundation, then regardless of what moves, you can always return to that foundation. Thank you for your service, Dr. Honorable Nicolette Henry. She had some early stumbles in the education sector as Minister of Education, but she redeemed herself, I must say. Right? I must say she redeemed herself. And she was at the helm of the education ministry, political leadership of the Ministry of Education, when this country achieved a lot of firsts. Unlike the no school left, no child left behind, no teacher left behind, Sitira Gyal. And so I think she leaves with a proud legacy. I think she leaves with a proud legacy. And I wish her every success. In the same breath, I want to say, well, he's not there yet, but let me be the first to say, congratulations on becoming a parliamentarian, Mr. Aubrey Norton. Congratulations. And we look forward to you being sworn as leader of the opposition, assuming that's where you're heading. But I want to caution you. Remember, people's power, no dictator. Remember, there's a big expectation from the citizens of this country, at least 217,000 of them. A big expectation that you're going to confront, in whichever way necessary or possible, this wicked administration and keep them in check. You are going to lead You are going to lead as your people expect. So nobody should feel that Ori is going there to sit and drink whiskey and drop his guards down. I think he has started some good work going to visit with the communities and so on. That must be continued. As a matter of fact, it must be expanded. Okay? So we look forward to your leadership. We look forward to your hard work. We look forward to you rebuilding the PNC. Okay? Good. That aside, what do we want to talk about this morning? I don't want to talk too long. I don't want to talk too much. I am going to open up the line very quickly. But before I move off of what the expectations are for Aubrey Norton, remember this. There are many who are waiting in the wings to watch you fail and say, I told you so. Right? I told you so. You all know what I'm saying? There are many, and you're quite aware of it. There are many from the old guards and the new guard and the not so new guard. There are many who are walking beside you and are hoping that you will fail. So you got a big boot to fill. You got a lot of points to prove. It's all on you, bro. It's all on you. Right? It's all on you. Good. So, like I said, I don't want to talk too much this morning. I think I want to stick to one particular issue of concern. And that is the Guyana Police Force. I think there is crisis in the Guyana Police Force. Crisis. Or should I say crises? Good. There are lots of things which are wrong in the Guyana Police Force. And the police force continues to go on a downward slope. I don't know if you already recognize it or you are playing yard blind. But every day is another tragedy coming out of the Guyana Police Force. Every day. Every living day. It's like they're moving from tragedy to tragedy to tragedy. Maybe that's a fuel on which the police force operates. Tragedy. Yesterday we learned that because of a high-speed chase, two young people, as we would say, with their whole life ahead of them, met their demise. Yes, a 60-year-old girl and a 21-year-old boy. They say boyfriend and girlfriend. That's what the news says. Boyfriend and girlfriend. And I know, well, I assume because of the fact that the news didn't say that, I assume they weren't eloping. And so, for some reason or other, there was this high-speed chase. The end result was that there was this fatal accident on the Mahaica Bridge. Now, I always wonder where common sense resides when it comes to the police force. Where does common sense reside? Who are these people we have gallivanting up and down the country's roads as law enforcement officers? Is it possible to take your brain out of your head and put it on cold storage? Because it would appear in many instances that these these policemen do not think. I think last week or the week before there was a matter reported where a corporal of police shot himself in the leg. For the second time, mind you. Right? For the second time he shot himself. Or for the second time he was shot. The first time he was on a stakeout, hold up with police and thieves and so on, shoot out, blah, blah, blah. And he got shot. But this time, maybe he liked the feeling of being shot. He got shot because while on duty, he and his patrol decided that they wanted a drink. And so they went and they imbibed. And while they were imbibing, they got a call of a matter that needed their attention. And I guess in their haste to go there, his service piece went off and he was shot in the leg. Now, that for me raises a lot of issues. Number one, which public service job or which serious public service entity will allow its employees to drink on the job? Number two, an individual walking around or tasked with protecting the people, armed, is walking around with a loaded firearm uncocked, as we like to say, uncocked. The slightest mishap could result in the death of someone. You're not in a crime scene, you're not in a confrontation, but your weapon is uncocked. You're sitting down taking a drink on taxpayers' time, but your weapon is uncocked. And so you end up shooting yourself. It could have been somebody else. And then the police, knowing them, would have had to concoct a story to justify why that person is injured or dead. Most likely dead. Right? And so from one embarrassment to another. But they got bigger embarrassments to come. Yesterday's incident is just an example of what we see every day. Police operating without thought. Now, I would believe if a motorist commits an infraction and attempts to evade the police, yes, naturally you give chase. But when you realize that it is going to be dangerous because it is becoming a high-speed chase, then you consider first and foremost the safety of the people in your vehicle. You consider the safety of passers-by and bystanders. You consider the safety of other road users. You consider the safety of the people in the vehicle. The escape vehicle, if I can call it that. You have to consider all of those things. And if you consider all of those things, then you should come to a logical conclusion that, hey, this chase is not worth it. There's a smarter way to deal with this individual. There's a smarter way. Number one, police now are expected to be wearing body cams, at least some of them. Activate your body cam so you get a video of the vehicle. That should be able to record certain particulars of the vehicle. Its license plate number, the color, the make, and stuff like that. If you don't have body cam, then every policeman, and this is not guess, every policeman has a smartphone. Right? Take out your smartphone and use it smartly. Right? Take out your smartphone and use it smartly. And assuming you don't have a smartphone, every policeman is supposed to have a pocketbook. Take it out and make the necessary notes. But you know what else is important in all of those scenarios? The police vehicles are equipped with radio. Radio ahead to the next police station. You must know the terrain. You must know your district. You must know. This is my district. I know it. As I say, I know it like the back of my hand. And so I know between point A, where this incident has happened, to point B, there is another police station. Radio ahead to that police station and say, look out, set up roadblock. This is the situation. You also know that there are so many intersections, so many possible routes that this individual can use within the district. Either you check those routes yourself, or as you Radiohead, arrangements are made to patrol those routes. No need for no high-speed chase. The police just want the thrill off of taxpayers' money while putting taxpayers at risk. That's what I think. They want a thrill off of taxpayers' money while putting taxpayers' lives at risk and their assets. And so here is the result. 2 young persons are dead from the vehicle that they were in pursuit of. The people in the police vehicle most likely suffered injuries, but none of them is dead. None is dead. And if you look at the vehicle, the police vehicle, I hope I examined it carefully enough. It was the driver's side of the vehicle that suffered the worst. It means the driver attempted as usual to save himself. And so it should also send a message to the other ranks who are in the vehicle. If you are in a patrol vehicle and your driver looks as though he's going to be an ass, as if he wants to reenact a role from Bad Boys, you have an obligation to put him to his place. You have an obligation to provide wise counsel. And should that fail, you know what other actions you can take. But at the end of the day, that is what we have. And these things are continuing to happen because nobody is holding the police hierarchy responsible. And the police hierarchy is not holding the lower ranks responsible for the unconscionable conduct. Every living day, for no reason or other, you can hear and see a police vehicle weaving in and out of traffic with sirens blazing. You can see unmarked vehicles weaving in and out of traffic with sirens blazing. When you do your investigation, you come to realize that some of these vehicles are not even owned by the state. They're not a part of the security apparatus of the state. But they're blazing with sirens in and out of traffic, forcing people off of the already narrow roads and congested roads. But it's all well and good with the guy in the police force. Well, when it is, the law enforcement agencies become a place of lawlessness. You have tragedies like we had yesterday. And I take your bet. Nobody is going to face the consequences of that recklessness which took place yesterday. Nobody. Because the police's justification would be, especially that dead men tell no tales, the police's justification is likely to be, we were in pursuit of a lawbreaker. And therefore we were doing our jobs. And so you can't prosecute us for doing our jobs. In case you don't know, it is a belief in the Ghana Police Force that police are expected to prepare jackets and statements and so on in favor of police. And any police who dares to do that, who dares to go against that, can expect the anger of the rest of the police, can expect to be sidelined, can expect to be stagnated, can expect to be treated like an outcast. And so you're forced to play according to the police book, unwritten, the blue wall of silence. So don't expect any real justice to come out of this situation. Okay? Can you imagine? Journalists or journalists being allowed to drive around the city, the country with sirens? What security business they're involved in? What state business they're involved in? The police force is in crisis. Cronyism is the order of the day in the Ghana Police Force. You need a firearm license, you must know somebody. The higher up you know the person, the faster you get the license. You want a permit for dance? Dependent on who you know. You can get to do your dance or you can get to do it way into day clean. Cronyism is the order of the day at the Ghana Police Force. Mark Anthony Benshop wants to know if journalists is doing that. Yes. Yes. The chosen, the baptized, the, I don't know, adored? Yes. Do your investigation, Mark. That is what is happening in the Ghana Police Force. And we are on the cusp of madness where the Ghana Police Force is concerned. And y'all can be the judge yourself just now. Budget is read. Allocations are made. There are lots of commissions which are going to have new lives. It's necessary that they have new lives. Now Clifton Smith is asked now. Let me answer Clifton Smith because he wants to know. Did you see the speeding car on the camera? There was a speeding car because there was a speeding police vehicle in pursuit of it. That's my point. That's my point. My point is, if an infraction was committed and the driver refused to stop, then there are other ways and means of getting the driver in custody other than a high-speed chase. That's my point. Clifton. Is it Clifton? Smith? Yes. There are other ways and means, and that's what I'm saying. People have to be able to exercise judgment, common sense. I laid out the options, or some of the options I thought of. Weren't you present, Clifton Smith? Anyhow, back to substantive matter. Here is what I'm saying. Those commissions are going to get new life. Some of them should have already, in fact, all of the commissions probably should have already been reconstituted. But y'all know this catfish cabal, this mafia organization. They don't follow the law. But certainly, there has to be a changing of the guards, a changing of the guards, a changing of the guards at the Guyana Police Force. So they are waiting the reconstitution of the Police Service Commission. And as soon as the Police Service Commission is reconstituted, the order of business will be promotion. The order of the business will be promotion. There's some officers there who are waiting to become senior this and senior that and so on. Right? Clifton Smith knows a little of the rules. You can share with us. We got Brutus, we got Akins, we got Karimbash, we got Blanham, we got Caesar. We got a whole long list of people waiting to become the hierarchy to control the top of the Guyana Police Force. Naming the commissioner of the police is the remit of only the president of Guyana, as far as I understand. It is the president who determines who will make commissioner, whether he supersedes somebody or not. But looking at what currently exists and looking at the past and relationships and so on, the possibility is you will end up with a commissioner named Hickins. Even if he has to serve for 2 years. Right? Even if he has to serve for 2 years. And you might have a deputy named Brutus. And then you might have, what do you call him? Or there are several deputies. And then you have the assistant commissioners and so on. But you have that lineup there. Brutus, Hickins, Karimbash, Blanham, Caesar, and so on and so forth. Well, let me say to you folks, when that day comes, Guyana will be in worse trouble security-wise than it is currently. When that day comes, the police force is going to be more an enemy of the state, or of the people, not the state, than it is currently. You are likely to see more police abuses. You are likely to hear of more underarm practices from the police. The possibility is you're going to get more unexplained extrajudicial killings from the police. And why am I saying that? Because the evidence has been out there and it is still out there and it is continuing to be produced out there. Right? And so Paul Singh is right in queue. What about the community police implication of senior and PYO member in attempted murder in 2015? That is why I know, because the evidence is right here and present. That is why I know that should this band of incompetence and misfit begin leadership of the Guyana Police Force, we're going to be in a terrible place. Let me share something with you. In March of 2015, the police had caused the raid a property in Kitty because of good investigative work done by a senior member of a community policing group in the city. And this is what the police found. 1,000 rounds of AK-47 ammunition. 1,000 rounds of AK-47 ammunition. 382 M16 rounds. 382 M16 rounds. 9mm pistol with 32 matching rounds. 9mm pistol with 32 matching rounds. I want you to pay attention to the kinds of ammunition that was found here. Long-range rifles. The AK-47 is, I don't know if it's the right terminology, but I would say it's a dual mode rifle. It can shoot single rounds or it can go on rapid. 1,000 rounds of AK-47, long distance rifle. M16. I remember growing up, the first time I heard of an M16 is when I heard of Rambo. 382 rounds for M16. A 9mm, which is easily concealed, was found with 32 matching rounds. March 2015. March 2015. Who are the people with this kind of arms and ammunition? What were their associates, or what was their association? What was the contact? Who know who? Where were the connections? You hope the person's in jail serving lengthy sentences? You go and do your researching and find out exactly where they are. Certainly not in jail. Right? Let's talk. Some of them serving in Guyana Police Force. Oh, Larry. Right? Let me give you some names if you want some. Mr. Das, senior officer in the Guyana Police Force, right, Mr. Das? Mr. Magaya, or Magaya, whatever, the spelling might not be right, so the pronunciation may not be right. Another officer of the Guyana Police Force. Surprise! Right? Surprise! And let me read one paragraph for you, and then I'll give you the rest. On that day, you will find out who is he just now, said he didn't have knowledge of the matter, but he will investigate and I should come back the next day. However, the next day I returned to his office and he asked me to keep quiet about the matter because in the recordings there were names of the persons who the ammunition belonged to. And he said that the person is a senior member of some group called the PYO. At that time, I didn't know what PYO was, so I was not happy with the response I got from him because of the fact that my life is in danger and he was not taking the matter seriously in my view. So I left the office confused. Right? This is the complainant sharing that information there. In short, the complainant saw a certain move. As a member of a community policing group, he decided to trail the movers and shakers in this move. Tracked them to a particular location, took notes, reported it to the police, who took action, discovered these arms and ammunition. But instead of protecting the informant, the identity of the informant was revealed to the lawbreakers. Because why? The lawbreakers were connected higher up to the PPP. I gave you names. One of them was a mover and shaker in the PYO, a senior member of the PYO. And a senior policeman at the time was protecting these lawbreakers because these people are connected or were connected to the PYO. The reporter was angry. He took other steps to get what I consider justice. He went to other senior officers of the Guyana Police Force. At the time, Silal was acting commissioner. And he was shifted from here to there, to there, to there, to there. All of you were sent. All of you were sent. And while they were pushing him around, there was an attempt on his life. Because the lawbreakers attempted to ambush him and shot up his car. According to him, he did the necessary maneuvers to escape. Right? He did the necessary maneuvers to escape. And he went to the police. And the senior policeman told him, you talked to me about this matter, and you still went to other people, get your so-and-so out of the compound. That's policing for you. And it is possible that one of those very men will become your commissioner of police once the Police Service Commission is back in action. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Keep that in mind. I am going to play a voice note for you. Caution. If you have children listening to the program and you don't want them to hear expletives, have them removed. If you don't want to hear expletives, have yourself removed. Right? Because the fact of the matter is this. The news is never always pleasant. And sometimes we have to play these recordings so that you understand what is happening, but we have to play them as we get them. It would be unethical of me to edit a recording which I receive giving us information of what is happening. So y'all forgive me. I ain't like the cuss up thing on my program. But this one get a cuss. Right? But they also say cuss is industrial language. If you don't want to hear industrial language, I don't know if you can get a full story, but I have given you adequate notice that this story got some industrial language. Please bear with me. That's all I'm saying. The information is more important than the industrial language. I hope Let me find it. It's coming up. Y'all listen keenly. I ain't calling nobody name. I am playing a recording. Okay? Good. And so you get a total picture of what you're going to be exposed to in this country if law enforcement continues to head in the direction it is currently heading. Listen up.
So them could continue monkeying the self-dread. This country they put me in the put no charge. I'll link you back again and pick up more dread. Good. Melville, look, not gonna tell him how me and me buddy being to OPR and give evidence against him. Give evidence against him in relation to the matter with the wrongs and the people going with the thief. Yeah, he just call me, tell me how look not know about that, and how look not tell you the whole story, and look not say how he know when Caesar collect some $6 million from him and them for give them me information and that kind of skunt. And that's what I'm saying. So it means that somebody at OPR had to say something. Yeah, but OPR is supposed to be confidential. You understand? Because the people done shoot up my fucking car, the people done beat to my house, and now this fucking jackass now, another police, going to tell the fucking people that I been to OPR for Melville. You understand? These fucking banners is pussy boy, I'm getting me real vexed, dread. Then he telling me that's now how look, not say I got some recordings about the conversations I mean he had about when they see Caesar take the people goal and that kind of fucking thing. Huh? I don't know how he meeting it. And then he's saying how the only reason why he can't talk to me is because Hickens give them an order for take me out. And he go to Hickens and tell Hickens what he's me his cousin, don't do that. If Hickens want to fucking take me out, Hickens and take me out, regardless of who's my fucking family. Hickens want the order for take you? Yeah, that's what he said. Cause he don't want the information go public. And he don't want the information to go public anyhow? I don't know so with fucking look not on Melville. I done tell them already. If them continue fucking wrong me, them open the papers and I'ma see the whole fucking story in the newspaper like this what the scunt will want.
That's a voice note. And you think it was only the arms and ammunition that was involved in this matter? No. The people were more peeved because they lost some gold. 152 ounces of gold, a large amount of cash, and a gun that was never listed in the find. Hey! Oh, lado! You hear that? Apart from the large amount of arms and ammunition, 1,000 rounds of AK-47, more than 300 rounds of M16, almost 40 rounds of 9mm, there was another gun that was found, confiscated, but not listed among the find. Right? Plus, lots of gold and cash. That's what you're dealing with. That is what you are dealing with. These are the people who are operating in your law enforcement agencies. These are, yesterday I said that the PPP enables corruption. It allows its operatives, its enablers to deal in corruption. Because when that happens and they get a free pass, they feel that the PPP is best for them. So they enable, they protect They look out for the PPP. They do the dirty biddings of the PPP. And of course, the PPP get the files, so the PPP can pull the strings at any time. Y'all hear me? The evidence is there. It's not me. It's somebody's voice. It sounds like mud water, but it's not mud water. Yeah. Well, y'all think this country is easy. This is one big mafia island. Everybody with authority is a mafia. Right? I rest my case. The lines are open. 6225933 is the number to call. I said I wasn't going to be speaking for too long. The lines are open. Let's talk about this. Where is this country heading? Where was it heading in 2015? And where is it heading now? Guess the trajectory is continuing. Right? I guess the trajectory continues. Wish them luck. Wish you all luck. Hola, Guyana is on the rise. Y'all remember the song? Clear the way, Guyana coming back. Good morning to you, your life.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Kadaki. Mark here. I just thought I'd identify. I don't want people to speculate who it is, but Ben Sharp. You are correct in terms of the PPP's connection with lots of armed deals and drug smugglers and these sort of things. In the early 2000s, I believe maybe 2004 or 2005 or somewhere thereabouts, there was a big armed robbery on the somewhere on the East Coast. And so when the police turned up to see exactly what took place and who the perpetrators were, because the people got caught red-handed and they were shot. And one of the criminals who got shot was actually an operative of the PYO and a senior member of the People's Progressive Party. His name was, he got killed in the Chevron's residence. And he turned out to be a senior operative from Freedom House. He had on a mask, he had on a wig, he was given a firearm license, but yet he was out robbing, shooting, and possibly killing people. So the PPP has a history, not in the 60s, I'm talking about in the 70s or the 80s or the 90s. I'm talking about as much as recently they have that history. During the late 80s, there were some individuals who were connected to the PPP, heavily connected to the PPP. One of them was a serving member of the Guided Police Force. Another one was a serving member of the Guided Defense Force. Were caught in training camps, allegedly, in training camps with ammunition and other materials preparing to overthrow the Desmond Hoyt administration. Those persons were caught, they were charged, and they weren't charged for just ammunition. They were charged with treason. One of them was the late Balram Prasad. Balram Prasad was then a junior officer. When the PPP got in the office in 1992, yes, sweetheart, sorry about it. Okay, I get your jacket. Sorry, Kadaki.
Yeah.
So when the PPP got in 1992, they released all three of those guys, all three of them. Balram Prasad went on to become a very senior police officer, was reinstated and became a very senior. He died a couple of years ago as a deputy police commissioner. And so I just thought I'd bring that to the attention of your listeners, because this is a very interesting program in showcasing the quality of individuals who are members of the Guyana Police Force. The other thing quickly, not taking up much of your time, and I just want the public to know, you may know, but the public know that most of those senior officers that you have mentioned, and some of whom may go on to become possibly commissioner of police or maybe higher up in that, next to the commissioner of police, have all failed their polygraph test in a serious, serious way. That's all. Continue your work.
Thank you, Mark. That operative you talk about, that incident was around Good Hope, I think. Good Hope or Better Hope.
Yeah,
Opposite its service station, a chicken farm there.
Exactly.
Good,
so
thank you.
That's it. So the PVP is no angel. They know exactly what they're up to, Kadaki.
Very well, and the people need to be aware. That's why we bring this kind of information. The lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. You tune to the Buxtonian Morning Time. Call, voice note, let's talk. Is there a voice note? No, I don't see any. Yes. Like cat got your tongue. It's 8 hours 26. We have about 24 minutes to call. Is anyone interested in calling? Oh, here's a call. Looks like Ron Lane. This girl always out in front. Good morning, caller. You're live.
Good morning, Kadaki.
Told you. Yes, Randall.
Kadaki, the first thing on the block. I would like to wish my firstborn child, my son, Omowali Reddy, a happy 43rd birthday because he celebrates that today. So you could know how this chick old. Anyway, moving along. Now when I view that smash up, and I give condolences to the family, I am sad to see the wastage of young lives. And when we talk about the police, that is what they are. Sometimes you're going along peacefully, and the police might see a procession of cars got trapped on a thing on the road. They throw on the siren, and they go mad, and they're going to pass about 40 to 50 cars on the road. And they don't care. And when it comes to high chase, when you are approaching a bridge, unlike the Mahai Bridge, the bridge is a bridge with a high span. You cannot see what is coming in the opposite direction with the high span. You're supposed to be going single file on the bridge. Because once you meet the high span, you can't control yourself, and that is what probably happened. Now, another point, I looked into the young couple. When you study that the girl was 16 and the boy was of that age, that part of the shilling tells you another story that I don't want to get into. Because when you're mourning your loss, things mustn't come up. But that is a matter that could be dealt with on another program. And to the thing that you spoke about with the lands, I hope people can take your advice and not sell the land. Because once you sell the land, they will say, oh, we're giving you another place to live. That is going to be someplace far from behind God's back, and then it may not be developed. And as you rightly say, the money that they will try to trust in the person's hand, the people's hand, will not be able to build a house, because every day the cost of materials keep going up. And what you could have gotten last year with 20-something million, you wouldn't get it this year. So the people got to be careful in what they do. And the last thing is COVID. Every day you're getting more and more debt. I want to know if the war now has become one disease killing mechanism, because cancer, diabetes, high cholesterol, heart problems, kidney problems, those things don't cause death no more. The only cause of death now is COVID. Don't matter what happens, it is COVID. I will be sharing some other things with you, but it cannot be shared in the open. So that's all, and a happy birthday to my son. I hope he can achieve all that he wants in life, because he's a hard worker, don't man, he does do some stupidness, but happy birthday, Wally. He does a car business by the bridge, Demerara Harbor Bridge. He walks a taxi there and other places. Everybody know him as Wally. Happy birthday. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Rondo.
Bye-bye.
The lines are made up 6225933 is the number to call. Call, let me talk a thing. Who is watching your back? Who have a bodyguard? A bodyguard. Police and thief in the streets. Hey, call it live. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. Good morning. Well, my take on the guy in the police force, if there's any administration have the opportunity to go there in office, and if they're serious about the security situation in Guyana, they need to hold a public inquiry with all of these police, these shady characters there in the force. And the law behind it, that if any one of them being found to be guilty, even if they retire, they should take away every benefit that they acquired during their service there in the police force. And I mean, if any, I'm talking about the term of reference. And if there's any way along the line in that inquiry that a criminal proceedings could take place after that public hearing, let it be. Set an example out of these guys, that the rest who in the police force, who have intention to follow their footsteps, or ones who are going into the police force for those type of purpose, they get a clear message. What will
Call you there? Seems we have lost that one. Call you live. Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Amsterdam.
Morning to you.
I just spoke to someone from Buxton, right? And these PPP people, they're just, I mean to say a lot of people in Guyana, they all not listening to your show. But we outside here, we be listening to your show. And these people telling these people all these nonsense that sometimes I feel so bad when I heard what they're telling the people down there. You know? So people need, a lot more people need to listen to your show, and then they will realize what's going on, because a lot of people in Guyana don't know what's going on unless we outside here call them and tell them what's going on. So keep up the good work. I'm a popular BUXTONIAN, but I don't want to call my name. Take care, my brother.
Thank you. Stay safe.
All right, you too.
Call it live. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Kadaki. Good morning, all the viewers and everybody who listening. Question: I don't know if they have a voice note striking wrong, right? With the $25,000 that they was giving out. I don't know if you hear that voice note, Mr. Kadaki.
No, I'm not sure I did. What is it saying?
Yes. He's saying that the money that they was sharing out. Is a lot of things on it where they talk about the money that sharing out, and this one get Uber's money and supposed to give the other one. I go try if I get that thing and think it for you.
I heard a voice note where somebody was supposed to get $50,000, I think, and they end up with 100, and I thought to be shared and so.
Right. Is that kind of thing like that? It's on the thing, but I was trying to get it to send it to you, but I got to try and see if I could get it back to send to you.
Sure.
That's all I have to. That's all I think. And one thing, Mr. Gadaki, I think a viewer has been asking you like to play them things like in 2000 with the crime scene and all them kind of things that happened. To let people refresh and see why in 2000 what happened. You know, refresh people's mind. And, you know, if you could play it and let people see the killings and all kind of thing what they're doing in Buxton and all this type of place and all them kind of thing. That's all I have to say, Mr. Kadaki.
Okay, sure.
So I want to keep it to me all the time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Bye bye. Yeah. Bye bye.
The PPP, corruption thrives under the PPP, and the PPP knows that corruption thrives under it. But they're prepared to allow it because they get to stay comfortably in office. Right? In that same COVID cash grant distribution, I know situations where the same person I'm telling you about that they eventually audited and found out that he was involved in a lot of corrupt transactions and so on. They had their friends and cronies who were collecting 3 and 4 grants. And at the end of the day, they split the takings. I know of police officers facilitating corrupt transactions during the COVID-19 distribution. Right? Because remember, the police had to accompany them. And because the police is there and knows of the corrupt practices, when the police gets his or her opportunity to engage in the corruption with others, they do the same thing. I know people who are given the 19,000 and had to give back. It's 19 or 25, whatever it is. Had to give back a 10,000 to the team. Or to the person who made it possible for them to collect it without ID and without being able to prove that they were house owners and stuff like that. And like so many persons have said, the PPP understands that, and that is why they allow them to walk around with big bags to share the money, instead of having a more organized distribution process where perhaps people's money could have been sent to the bank. Right? You got to understand these things. That's all I want to say. The lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. Remember, I said I'm not talking too much.
So them could continue monkeying the self-dread. This country they put me in the put no charge. I'll link you back again and pick up my old dread. Good. Melville, look, not gonna tell him how me and me buddy been to OPR and give evidence against him. In relation to the matter with the wrongs and the people going with the thief. Yeah, he just call me, tell me how look not know about that, and how look not tell you the whole story, and look not say how he know when Caesar collect some $6 million from him and them for give them me information and that kind of skunt.
But you are not accurate of that about it.
That's what I'm saying. So it means that somebody at OPR had to say something.
Somebody at OPR can tell that. Because he knew that was going to find where OPR is. He wants to go find out what they were.
Yeah, but OPR is supposed to be confidential. You understand? Because the people done shoot up my fucking car. The people done beat to my house. And now this fucking jackass now, another police, going to tell the fucking people that I been to OPR for Melville.
You're live.
Morning, Kadaki. Great show again. Thank Mark Benchop for calling in, providing a little bit more colorful light on the criminal enterprise that is the PPP. I've said it. These people are mafia. But here's a question I like to ask though. Since that had happened in 2015, and I guess they had the new administration came in, was anything done in reference to that transaction and all of that guns and ammo stuff that had taken place then? Did anything happen throughout the APNU tenure in reference to what you had talked about
So we just know that Guyana presently is really not going to be a good place to be. All those criminal and illegal activity will not cease until the people put pressure on the government, and no one is being punished. So obviously they're going to continue to do this stuff, the illegal stuff, because no one is going to get in trouble. You just like the rank who had shot or in Boston, they're what they got, the lesser charge. So that's going to continue, and it is up to the people to see what's happening and to rise up. And so far, I do not see that happening, and it's going to continue. And Guyana, although with a glittery building they're putting up and stuff like that, it will just be a cesspool of crime, drugs, and the PPP, day in and day out. So I do not see any hope for Guyana. It's a pessimistic view, but that's how I'm seeing it. That's my take.
Thank you, caller. Lines remain open 6225933 is the number to call.
These fucking banners is pussy, boy. I'm getting me real vexed, Dread. Then he telling me that's not how look, Nats, I got some recordings about the conversations with me and he had about when they see Caesar technique, people go and that kind of fucking thing.
Caller, your life, good morning. Caller, your life, good morning.
And then he's saying how the only reason why he can't even talk to me is because Hickens give them an order for take me out. And he go to Hickens and tell Hickens what he's me, his cousin, don't do that. If Hickens want to fucking take me out, Hickens and take me out, regardless of who's me fucking family.
Hickens want the order for take you?
Yeah, that's what he said. Cause he don't want the information go public.
And you know the information to go public anyhow?
I don't know. I don't know some it fucking look not and Melville. I done tell them already. If them continue fucking wrong me, them open the papers and I'ma see the whole fucking story in the newspaper like this for the control want.
It looks as though I got infected by all of this cuss. Oh, Lord. By the time the boys just finish, somebody could be pregnant. But you know what? The information is important. Sometimes you have to go through the filter to find the value. Call your life, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Well, I know the 5 years are up now in government, right? You had a man like Ramjatan. I think Ramjatan was just as detrimental to the coalition as Charanda. As Ramjatan was tasked with putting these people away. You ever hear Ramjatan talk about PPP members we was coming to him out? My very good friend this, my very good friend that. Ramjatan wasn't going to jail anybody. Before 2020 elections, PPP should have had nobody to run. All of them is criminal. All of them should have been in jail. Abnu had a golden opportunity to decimate and put PPP, reduce them to nothing. But to put the wrong man there for do it. Ramjatan said, I don't have a problem with PPP. I have a problem with Jack Dio. And if Jack Dio come out of PPP by some stretch of the imagination, I got a strong feeling Ramjatan will go back right there. Because we heart is. The problem is now, if the next leader of the coalition make the same mistake, because PPP is PPP 2.0 because it's doing far worse than they did in the 23 years. And the next coalition leader got to make it right. Or else they say they would never see my glory days. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. 6225933 is the number to call. How do you ask me to jail the people I've grown up with? How do you ask me to jail the people I've trained with? How do you ask me to jail the people who have empowered me? How do you ask me to jail the people I still knock glass with? Come on, man, you're putting me under undue pressure. You give me a basket to fetch water? Eh? Oh yeah, I could do that. How do you ask me to give firearm license to a serving member of government from the same cabinet that I belong to? Call you live, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Kadaki. I have 2 points to raise with you. The first one is the person who should have resigned from Parliament is Ms. Ali. She doesn't have a constituency. Dr. Henry was there all the time. She ran for office. And another thing, Ramjatan helped the PNC get into power. I cannot understand how you can sit there and have your callers bombasting the man. Without Ramjatan, you guys would have never get into power. Thank you very much.
You want to give caller or you want to leave? You know, you see, this is something people, fail to acknowledge. Right? Ramjatan helped the coalition to get into power. So did Charandas. Don't people bombast Charandas because he cut the throat? Right? As I like to say, and I said it early this morning, they got some people who will walk with you to the finish line or walk with you to watch you fail. I'm not saying Ramjatan is that type. I am saying, like many viewers are saying, that Ramjatan had his failings. Charandas walk with them to the line and watch them fail. Are you saying because you helped me to win this thing, if I screw up, I should be condemned? That is why Ghana is in the state it is. Because when people screw up, we always say, but they did this and but they did that. You screw up, you screw up. And if you screw up, you must be held accountable for it. It's as simple as that. I try my best not to break the laws of this country. I try my, utmost best not to commit traffic infractions, things as little as traffic infractions. Because I believe they will make me face the consequences. And if I don't want to face the consequences, it means I have to toe the line. Right? So I don't understand why Ramjatan should be above reproach. If he screwed up, he screwed up. Granger screwed up. We criticized Granger for in excess of a year. I didn't hear the scholars call and say, Granger led us to victory. Why you are criticizing him, man? There's no wrong with some of us. Thank you for your contribution, caller. The lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. That's my belief. I agree with you, Ann Williams. Certain investigations ought to be conducted by neutral institutions and individuals. Well, individuals might be a hard take, but you have to get a reputable institution as Scotland Yard, and FBI, and Interpol to conduct certain investigations if you are serious about justice. If you are serious about wanting to deliver justice in certain situations, leave your national institutions alone. Go to the international ones. Assuming that they don't have a horse in the race. Because many of them do have horses in the race, as you found out in the 2020 elections. Right? 6225933 is the number to call. Y'all want to hear that voice note again? I should warn you again, put on your contraceptives.
So them could continue monkeying the self-dread. This country they put me in the put no charge. I'll link you back again and pick up more dread.
10 minutes to 9.
Good. Melville, look, not gonna tell him how me and me buddy been to OPR and give evidence against him. In relation to the matter with the wrongs and the people going with the thief. Yeah, he just call me, tell me, how look not know about that, and how look not tell you the whole story, and look not say how he know when Caesar collect some $6 million from him and them give them me information and all kind of stuff.
Good morning, Mr. Kadaki. Wonderful program.
And that's what I'm saying.
Call it live.
Yes, wonderful program.
Thank you.
Guyanese are really, really serious about change. First of all, it can happen under the present administration, meaning Guyana you cannot get law and order with the Guyana that we have now. I mean, you might not agree with me, and many of your callers may not agree with me, or your viewers. Guyana needs to be divided. We can talk how much we want. Guyana has to be divided. The majority of Guyana's population is corrupt. That's first. One side can afford to pay the other side. And that's what you're seeing with the police force. When they're in power, they will pay them to do the dirty work. What will happen after? If the regime is changed, the other side will find excuses why they can't prosecute. Because first of all, some of them may be their friends. They may be afraid that they will have retaliation. How do you stop this corruption? If you want law and order, it cannot be under the present structure of Guyana. It will not happen. Nobody will bail the cat. Nobody. No matter what you say. You can say it, I can say it. We want justice. Justice will never come under this Guyana that we have presently. It will never happen. The only option, the only way it will happen if it's not divided is a revolution. Then you put all manjack, politicians, corrupt police, corrupt whoever, businessmen, you put them in jail. If you don't put them in jail, you're afraid to house them in Guyana, you exile them. Take them away, never to return. And under this structure of Guyana presently, that can't happen. The opposition wouldn't do it, okay? No Guyanese group right now in Guyana is not prepared to do that. Two options we have. You separate, you have a corrupt Guyana and a democratic Guyana, or we have a revolution, whether it's going to be good or it's going to be bad. It will not be different, it will not be better. Look at that. One other point, the reason why Guyanese are not being able to watch your program, Guyanese in Guyana, this is what they did to Gavin Machu's show. They're in charge of your program. They're blocking your fans so that you cannot educate Guyanese at home. I spoke to many Guyanese
family of mine and they don't know what's going on. Why? Because the regime, whether they're being helped or not, I don't know, but that's what they're doing. They're listening to your calls. They're being in charge of the feed that you're getting, and this is done through your provider, sir. That's what they're doing. Is that part of this cyber security new legislation that was passed? I don't know. Is it against the freedom of speech in Guyana? I don't know. You guys need to investigate that, and they're going to take it further. People were talking last night on a program stating the Chinese are putting down lines, and they're going to put cameras and watch every move you make and what's not. That is bound to happen because the politicians fail Guyanese. They sold Guyana out. When the Chinese get a foothold in Guyana, there's nothing none of us can do. First of all, the two main services that are there to protect and serve us, they're part of the group of corrupt people. The Chinese will pay them. They will pay the police, they will pay the army. They must be, they always have individuals that are weak. They will put profit above any other thing, no matter what we think. And who's going to be in charge of prosecuting those people? Tell me. Point one politician in Guyana on both sides, which will do what they're supposed to be doing. Show me one, and then I will hold back my word. Gadaki, thank you so much. Have a good morning.
Caller, don't go yet. I will spend a few extra minutes with you. How do you suggest this division of Guyana happen? Because I don't think it makes a lot of sense.
I don't blame you, sir. But my question, I'm going to ask your question back. How can you fix it?
How can I fix it?
Yes,
By
sir.
the people rising up for law and order and holding their politicians accountable. The people, not some of the people, the people. That's how it is fixable.
Sir,
right?
And sir, yes, I agree with you. How would that be done?
Through education.
Rise up.
Through education. You get them to eventually become educated, I pray. Because when we talk about division, the question is, who gets what?
It doesn't matter.
It matters.
It doesn't matter.
It matters.
No, listen.
Because hear me.
Listen.
Hear me.
Yes.
It matters. Quite frankly, right now, this country is divided. Right?
Yes.
And who gets what? And that is the problem. Who are the people getting the resources because of the political division, as against who are the people being stagnated? Right? And when you're going to formalize that division, in whatever way or form, then you're accepting a stagnation and you're accepting the economic oppression and so on. Because at the end of the day, if you were to study the resources of this country, by God, I want where the gold and diamond there and the oil too. Y'all can take the rest. How we dividing? God, have a good day.
Listen to me.
Yes.
1 second. Listen to me. How many natural resources Guyana has that we're not benefiting from presently? Just name me one.
There are lots of them, man. There are lots of them. There are lots of them.
So this is the reason why I'm saying it doesn't matter who gets what. We do not benefit from it. The Canadians destroy the Omai area. Exxon is destroying the fishing industry. What more? Bauxite is a waste of time because we don't benefit from it. It doesn't matter what we get, who gets what.
Again, I'm saying these lack of benefits are because of our politicians, and we have to hold them accountable. Until we hold them accountable, we will not get the benefits. The answer is not in division. Like I just said, the people have to rise up. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thanks,
We will have to dedicate the program to this one. We might have to dedicate the program to whether or not we divide Guyana.
I will agree with that.
Thank you.
I will. And I will be looking forward to it.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Good. Yes, here we are. It's 9 o'clock, a minute past 9. It means it's a wrap. Anybody wishes to make a final call? I got a voice note. Let me play it.
Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. The last caller that you had there, let me just a point of correction. Let me tell him, our worst enemy is ourself. People like ourselves. Mr. David Granger never wanted nobody to be jailed. When the police go to arrest Jagdeo to jail him, Mr. Granger stopped them. And you think Ramjitan could send them for one thing? Mr. Granger was the man that kept everything under control with this church boy attitude. Oh, we cannot jail them. We cannot do this and we cannot do that. Who does that? Who does that? When the boots on the other foot now, you see what they're doing? They don't have time to who we could jail and who we shouldn't jail. They're jailing if you look, they come in every citizen house and jail them if you give them the chance. So we gotta be careful what we say because we are our worst enemy. Mr. Granger was the man that kept everything. Stay silent, stay still, don't do this, don't do that. And what happened to us today? He threw us under the bus. We can't even come out. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Kadaki, agree with the caller. Because let me tell you, when the government had changed in 2015, they had a lot of inquiries. What did they do with the even if they didn't have enough witnesses, what did they do with the recommendations those people gave to them? They did nothing with it. They threw it in a car now. You understand? And they did nothing. Nothing. Nobody was arrested. Nobody was charged. Nobody did nothing. You understand? And I want to know, then when the thing don't happen and nobody can get no justice or whatever it is, all you hear, okay, we didn't have enough witnesses. There were recommendations that he could have used, but let me tell you something. Mr. Granger was a one-man show. A lot of people don't want to accept this, but let's accept it. He was a one-man show. He never listened. Had he listened, we would not have been in this position today. He never listened. Rickford Burke was on things saying that he sent him a lot of information, never replied, and lots of other people. So how the other ministers they would do anything if he, as the president, they're telling them he have they wasn't looking into it. What you expect the rest under him? Leadership by example.
All right, let me say this about control of internet and who sees what. It may sound far-fetched that your service provider is messing with your content, but I can tell you for a fact that having dabbled in the information technology arena, I know that it's quite possible for your content to be messed with, for you to be prevented from seeing certain content. You see, let me explain quickly that every user of the internet is identifiable. You might not believe it's so, but every user is identifiable by what you call an IP. IP address, Internet Protocol address, MAC address, the address of your device. They can, oh, you think they can find your device by what you call a MAC address? Good. That's a simple answer. But this is what can happen. And I mentioned before that a lot of you who are running to places like eNetworks and so on for internet because you're saying GT&T internet is bad and so on. I've said to you that I prefer to stick with GT&T. I am of the firm belief that the government or the PPP, let me say it wide better, the PPP has part ownership of GT&T. But I don't know if it is as much that they can use to do as they like at GT&T. But eNetworks is a PPP outfit. And so what the PPP wants on eNetworks, the PPP can naturally get. And so all those of you who have internet services from eNetworks might be surprised to know that your traffic is being analyzed, to know the sites you're visiting, to know the calls you're making. In many instances, your conversations might be recorded. To know what your conversations are. Who are you talking to? What are you talking about? While you may not be blocked from seeing the BUXTONIAN morning time in the mornings, your data rate can be adjusted to frustrate you from watching it. In that your IP address could be targeted for reduced traffic, either uplink or downlink, reduced traffic between X time and Y time, because this is the time when certain programs which you are interested in are being streamed. Understand that? So yes, the possibility is that a lot of our services are being messed with, especially if you are not with, and I'm plugging no company here, but I'm just analyzing the situation like I normally do, right? GT&T is less likely, in my mind, to effect that kind of work on behalf of the PPP. But eNetworks is more likely to effect that kind of action on behalf of the PPP. Because like I argue, and I always say, eNetworks is PPP. It came out of the bosom of the beast. As a matter of fact, one person called me off air at one point in time and said that all eNetwork business was developed from a blueprint that a friend of his developed and came to the government with. And they pushed him around upside down until he got frustrated and walked away. And a year or two after they saw eNetworks. And again, I'm saying that too is not far-fetched, because I remember, right? There were people who were providing IPTV. I don't know how many of you pay attention to these things. But there was at least one black guy, I think he was located somewhere in East Bank or back road somewhere, that provided IPTV in this country. And he was using the utility poles to string his lines. There was some arrangement there. And the government at the time, PPP, discontinued that arrangement. They stopped him from swinging his lines along those utility poles. And they gave him hell to get licensing to continue that business. And eventually he went out of business. But here it is, we have eNetworks doing quite the same thing. Right? These people need to understand that. You need to understand that. You have to understand what you're dealing with. Right? Somebody's asking, so why not look at the content at a later time? I agree. A lot of people get the impression that they can only see BUXTONIAN morning time between 6 and 9 when it's live. No, it is always there. The content is always there on KAMSTV page. The content is always there on KAMSTV on YouTube. You can always go and look at it. Right? But looking at it live gives you the opportunity to call in and so on, live interaction. Good? With regard to the cameras being strewn around the place by the Chinese and so on, I think this program started under the PPP, continued under the APNU, and now continue under the PPP. Or it was planned under the PPP, continued under the AP, and you're now being continued under the PPP. It's called a Smart City Solutions. Right? It is a security apparatus. There's what you call the observation center at the back of the Artichon Convention Center. That is where they have the, what I want to call the brain of this whole security apparatus. All the cameras and the traffic lights and so on, and elsewhere where you don't even know, are actually monitoring more than traffic. People can sit at the observation center, the monitoring center, whatever we call it, and view what is happening in communities around this country. The David Granger administration, if I remember, had bought or had proposed to buy some long-distance drones to monitor the border. Some of those drones are currently being used to monitor citizens in their communities. Right? Crimes are solved like that. How do you think it, or, well, it might have been from a private camera. But the reality is, right? Take, for example, the Paper Shorts murder outside of Palm Court. There were cameras in that vicinity that captured everything. There's an allegation that the police force was given $64 million. Or operatives in the police force were given $64 million to make the footage disappear. Understand this. The US government refused to fund. The US government was supposed to fund the Smart City Solution Project, but they withheld the funding because they were insistent that the government of Ghana disassociates itself from the Chinese, because the government of Ghana was using Chinese technology, Huawei. I hope I correctly pronounced it. Huawei, right? And the US has a problem with Huawei because the US found, or alleges that it found, that the Chinese were using Huawei technology in the US to spy on its citizens and government. And so they're saying that if Huawei is used in Ghana, the Chinese will use the same backdoors that they used to spy in the US, to spy on locals, spy on the government. And because the government and the US has a relationship, get the US secrets also. And so they were saying, we are not going to fund this if you're going to use Huawei. And the PPP insisted that they were going to use Huawei, and the funding was withheld. I can't remember if it is that the Granger administration did differently to get the funding. But at the end of the day, I think it is still Huawei that is being used, which means that they found alternative source of funding. That's my belief. But these are things you have to be aware of. And so I extended this program this morning to explain that, because that's why we are here. To teach, to educate, to empower you. The rest is on you. I insist, I encourage, each of you have a responsibility to share the program. There are currently, this morning's program had in excess of 800 persons viewing live. How many of you click share to somebody? How many of you share to someone via WhatsApp or via Messenger or via Facebook itself or via YouTube? How many of you? That's the question. Right? When I say contributions, it's not always financial. I know people can't always give money. But you can contribute by growing the viewership of the program. Simply by sharing. Okay? Have a good day, y'all. If I didn't say anything that you think I should have said, maybe next time. But let me leave you with this voice note from this recording from the top. Y'all digest it. In the US or any other country where decency was the order of the day, law and order was the order of the day, this recording itself would have triggered perhaps the mother of all investigations in the Guyana Police Force, especially at the time when you are about to appoint police commissioners, deputy commissioners, senior assistants, and so on. In any other country, you would have had the mother of all investigations. In the US, it's Congress and all of those places that think. But in Guyana, what you might likely have is somebody coming after the messenger instead of going after the implicated. Good. I trust in the Most High to protect me, to guide, guard, and protect me. And so I have no fear. Like I said yesterday, once these things come under my finger, I will share them with the public because the public has a right to know. I can't remain silent on these things. They are too important. They have serious implications to national security, security of the citizens, and law and order in this country. And if I cower in fear, like a lot of people like to cower in fear, the possibility is we will curse the day we didn't lift a finger to change the status quo. Have a good day.
So them could continue monkeying the self-dread. This country they put me in the put no charge. I'll link you back again and pick up more dread. Good. Melville, look, not gonna tell him how me and me body being to OPR and give evidence against him. In relation to the matter with the wrongs and the people going with the thief. Yeah, he just call me, tell me how look not know about that, and how look not tell you the whole story, and look not say how he know when Caesar collect some $6 million from him random for give them me information and that kind of skunt. And that's what I'm saying. So it means that somebody at OPR had to say something. Yeah, but OPR is supposed to be confidential. You understand? Because the people done shoot up my fucking car, the people done beat to my house, and now this fucking jackass now, another police, going to tell the fucking people that I been to OPR for Melville. You understand? These fucking banners is pussy boy. I'm getting me real vexed, dread. Then he telling me just now how look, not say I got some recordings about the conversations with me and he had about when they see Caesar take the people goal and that kind of fucking thing. Huh? I don't know how he meeting it. And then he's saying how the only reason why he can't even talk to me is because Hickens give them an order for take me out. And he go to Hickens and tell Hickens what he's me his cousin, don't do that. If Hickens want fucking take me out, Hickens and take me out, regardless of who's me fucking family. Hickens want the order for take you? Yeah, that's what he say. Cause he don't want the information go public. And he don't the information to go public anyhow? I don't know. It's one with fucking Look Nat and Melville. I done tell them already. If them continue fucking wrong me, them open the papers and I'ma see the whole fucking story in the newspaper.